Welcome to the Lawn Care Business Academy. Today we're going to talk about one way that you can get more work through real estate agents. Now, the first option that we're going to talk about is through various real estate sites, websites. The first step, obviously, is going to choose the site that you prefer the most. Most of this is personal preference. If a house that is for sale has been listed with the MLS, then it's pretty much going to show up on any of the main sites, the Zillows, the Trulias, the Realtors.com. All of those sites pull from the MLS. So most of them are going to have the same information. So it's basically personal preference which site you choose. You really can't go wrong. 2, enter the zip code for your service area. Obviously, when you first start, it's going to show you a map of the whole United States. So you go ahead and put in your zip. Now, step 3, you've got your zip code pulled up. Use the map to narrow down your search even more. This is going to be all based off of what you're looking for in your business. Maybe you want your own neighborhood. Maybe you want the 2 neighborhoods that are closest to yours. Maybe you want the most expensive neighborhood in town. Maybe you want the cheapest neighborhood in town. It's all these. Step number 3 is going to be up to you as far as which direction you take it. But once you have narrowed down your search to a smaller geographic location, you can open up all these properties in a new internet browser window. Now, this is personal preference as well. If you want, from the map, you can just click on one and take a look at it and then click on the back to go back to the map. But usually when you do that, you have to re-input the zip code and zoom back in. So that's why I normally recommend right clicking. This is of course for Chrome and Windows. I'm not entirely sure how you do it for Safari, but you would right click and open the link to the house you want to look at in a new window. That way, the map that you've zoomed in is preserved and you won't have to redo that every time. So you open up however many houses you want to take a look at, and then we go into step 5. From those new windows, you're going to farm some information from the listing. Now, what personally I think is the most important, and there's no right or wrong if you think something is less or more important, but what I like to get is the listing date, the property address, the agent name, and phone number. To me, these are kind of the critical things that you have to know. Listing date I like because it lets you know if someone has been on the market for 6 or 7 months. Maybe they're getting a little bit more frustrated. Maybe they don't feel like spending as much money on lawn care because they've already had 6 or 7 months of holding costs. But then again, maybe if they've had it 6 or 7 months, they listed it during winter and they haven't had to deal with it during the summertime. And now we're getting into spring and summer and the grass is growing and they don't want to deal with it. So that's one little clue that you can use. It really still doesn't tell you anything until you call and talk to the individual, but at least it can give you some clues. And then if it's just 2 or 3 days ago, well, if you jump on it, there's a good chance they don't have any lawn care provider, lawn care contractor lined up yet because it has just been listed. So that's good news for you. So now you've got your information. The next step is to contact that real estate associate, or REA. And that option A, various RE sites, that stands for real estate sites. We just went ahead and abbreviated that since we did the full information on the slide before. So now when we contact a real estate associate, we've got a couple different parts of the conversation. Your greeting, introduction, ask them for time, you explain what you're calling for, and then provide some specifics. Whenever you're trying to memorize a script or remember things to say to individuals ahead of time, generally what the standard advice is when you go into public speaking courses or read books on it, the better thing to do is to memorize the thoughts that you want to get across rather than the exact words. What does that mean? Well, it means that instead of memorizing, hello, my name is Joe from Joe's Lawn Care located in A-Town, USA, and I'd like to talk to you about a property. That sounds a little bit scripted. Just get in your mind that you want to introduce yourself. And then the words kind of flow to fit that introduction. Hey, how are you? My name is Joe with Joe's Lawn Care. If you don't have the words memorized, if you don't have words that you have to say, but rather you have a thought in mind, I want to introduce myself. If you have a thought in mind that you want to get across, then it's much more natural when your brain automatically chooses those words. So we've got those parts of the conversation. What would that actually look like in a real conversation? Well, maybe something like this, and we'll back up and go over these as we get to it. So, ring, ring, somebody picks up the phone. Hello, this is, or hello, how can I help you? You say, hello, my name's Joe from Joe's Lawn Care. Is this Mr. or Mrs. Real Estate Agent? Great, great. So, and that covers your greeting and introduction. So, I was hoping to actually have a couple minutes of your time. I'm a lawn care provider in Anytown, USA, and I had a few questions for you. That'll cover B and C. Then they'll say either yes, this is a good time, or no, this isn't a good time. You absolutely want to ask for their time, because if you just assume they have time, that's going to be very off putting. I mean, think it's the time when someone's called you and they've just started right in on what they've wanted to talk about without actually seeing if it's a good time for you. Usually doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. So then that's when you're going to explain why you're calling them and give them specifics. Well, and I see that you've got a new house listed on 123 Main Street and wanted to see if you guys had a lawn care provider yet. So when we do that all again without any of my commentary, you get something like this. Ring, ring. Hello, this is Miss Real Estate Agent. Hi, Miss Real Estate Agent. How are you doing today? Well, good, thank you. Good, that's good to hear. Well, my name is Joe, and I actually own Joe's Lawn Care in Anytown, USA. And I wanted to ask you a couple questions. Is now a good time to talk for you to you? Well, yes, it is. Or